You're listening to the Valley Labor Report with David Story and Jacob Morrison.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
What do you think the difference is then between the Alabama mining industry and the West Virginia mining industry? Because you're saying the union density rate in the West Virginia mines today is very low, and in Alabama it's actually very high. I think it's probably one of the most heavily unionized industries in the state. I think, and I think Jack, the attorney that his law firm advertises on the show, they work a lot with UMWA. I think he said the unionization rate is something like 90 or 100% in the mines here in Alabama. Isn't that right, David?
It was. I think he said they had all the mines in Alabama except for one.
Yeah, it's extraordinarily high. What is the what do you reckon the difference is there?
Two words: Don Blankenship. In the 1980s, Don Blankenship became a leader at Massey Energy, the number one coal producer in the state, and started a vicious, effective program of deunionization in the state. The state was completely unionized. After the National Industrial Recovery Act was passed in 1933, the state unionized very quickly and stayed unionized into the 1980s. And
Dr. Keeney, I'm sorry, I pushed you right up to the break. We're going to have to talk about that some more on the other side of the break. Stay tuned. This is the Valley Labor Report.
You're listening to the Valley Labor Report with David Story and Jacob Morrison.
Welcome back to the Valley Labor Report. My name is Jacob Morrison, here with my co-host David Story. On the line, we've got Dr. Chuck Keeney. He is a West Virginia historian, author of The Road to Blair Mountain. Dr. Keeney, thank you for talking to us. This is the last segment on today's show, so make sure you run by the IBEW Local 558 Union Hall to drop off your necessities between 3 to 5 p.m. That's the IBEW Local 558 Union Hall on Clinton Avenue across from Yellowhammer and Campus 805. And if you appreciate our work, if you like this interview, it costs money to stay on the air. So if you'd like to support us, you can subscribe, become a member on patreon.com/The Valley Labor Report, or you can get yourself a hat on thevalleylaborreport.org. You can go there and go to the shop section, get yourself a nice union-made hat, support the show, and get a nice hat. So,
and hey, before you go on to the next one, and if you enjoy what you've been hearing today, you need to go to WVU Press and purchase Dr. Keeney's book, The Road to Blair Mountain. I talked to you on one of the previous breaks, and I purchased it this past week, and they actually sell it in a cloth edition, which I purchased, and I was I'm excited about that.
I'm going to have to get that. I'm a sucker for paper books, like real actual paper books, and especially limited edition copies, so I'm probably going to go home and get me a cloth version of it. Do they sell it at Red Emma's? Do you know, Dr. Keeney?
I don't know.
Okay. So
we may be able to help with that. We'll talk to them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'd love to be able to buy it from Red Emma's. Red Emma's is a worker-owned coffee shop and bookstore up in Baltimore. They do some good stuff. So, sorry about throwing you up against the post there. I apologize. I completely lost track of time, and so we had to cut you off there. I had asked what you reckon the difference is between the Alabama mining industry as far as our unionization in West Virginia, because you said the unionization rate in West Virginia mines today is very low, and in Alabama it's very high, like something around on the order of like 90%, which is like wild. It's really, really high. And you said that more or less you reckon it kind of has to do with the repression that they face under Governor Don Blankenship. And David and I were talking in the break, and we kind of came up with something, and we were like, yeah, well, that sounds good. And I want to pitch it to you and see what you think about it. We thought that maybe, since Alabama has never historically been reliant on the mining industry, we've had a more diverse kind of set of industries that we rely on, and so the mining industry never had like a complete hold on Alabama politics like it has in West Virginia. So the ability for the mining industry to completely take over the state government and do what they will with the mine workers has not been as powerful in Alabama as it has in West Virginia. What do you think about that explanation? This is just something that we came up off the cuff. And what was the actual specific repression that they faced under Don Blankenship and moving forward? Because you said that they were completely unionized and now they're not. So
right. Okay, so Blankenship wasn't a governor; he was CEO of Massey. Although the governor didn't tie his shoes without Blankenship's permission. The coal industry drove out other industries in West Virginia. For example, we had a thriving glass industry in West Virginia, and the coal industry drove it out. Because they became guys like A.B. Fleming and other guys who became state governors and senators, drove the glass industry out because the glass industry was unionized. And they didn't want any other industry that was unionized coming in. Now, in the 1980s, with Blankenship, you have what they would do is they would buy out unionized mines and then just shut down the mine. And then 6 months later, they would reopen it as a non-union mine. And so you had these huge strikes in the mid 80s and early 90s. And the state government apparatus supported the coal industry and not the strikers. State troopers were brought in. State troopers were used as strike breakers. And these strikes got a little bit violent as well. Not as violent as the original mine wars, but they got a little bit testy. I know some guys that were involved in all of these strikes. Some of them helped us form the Mine Wars Museum, in fact. So Mingo County is kind of the last stronghold of unionism, and most of those miners are all retired. But it was in the late 80s and early 90s. And after that, the coal industry created the what's called the Friends of Coal Association, in which they bombarded the state with propaganda. And I would argue that as much propaganda, if perhaps even more so than during the original time of the mine wars, so that they sponsor all the sporting events. They had a new form of welfare capitalism in which they build, ball fields and baseball fields. We might be tearing up the mountains and destroying the water and running off other businesses, but look at this nice little league field we built. And this kind of thing. And so they're able to really get a hold over people since the turn of the century, since the early 2000s. And that's played a really big role in over the last 20 years of shaking. I call it the mind guard system in my book. You have the mind guard system of the mine wars, and then I have what I call the mind guard system that's used today. That's this kind of propaganda by the Friends of Coal and the Coal Association that is really, for lack of a better term, I hate using the term brainwashed, but for lack of a better term, has kind of played that role in clouding the judgment of a lot of people in my home. And it's a infuriating thing to witness, in my opinion.
Right. So, Dr. Keeney, I have really enjoyed the conversation. Yeah. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us and being willing to talk to us for a bit longer than I had initially pitched you. But I just really enjoyed the conversation. I think it's been really interesting. I've learned a lot. We've got about 2 minutes left here. What are your kind of closing thoughts? If somebody's just tuning in, just getting in their car, about to go to lunch, and they haven't heard anything, what's kind of the takeaway, or somebody maybe forgot the first part of the interview, what's the takeaway that you want folks to have from the Battle of Blair Mountain and this history, and where can they buy your book?
The first thing I would encourage people to visit the Mine Wars Museum's website, wvminewars.org, and I would encourage people to come to West Virginia on Labor Day weekend for the Blair Centennial celebration. It's going to be 4 days worth: concerts, reenactments, all kind of plays, all kind of lectures, all kinds of things. I'll be personally giving a walking tour of the town of Matewan on Sunday night of that weekend. So come up for that. Hope you guys maybe come up. You might want to do a live broadcast from up there.
That's a brilliant idea.
So I encourage people to come up that, or get involved online. Follow us on Facebook. You can find my book on the WVU Press site, or you can just do a quick Google search. I mean, it's obviously easy to find. But I want people to remember that we have to confront our history in order to be able to forge a path forward in the 21st century. And there is an ongoing war over history in America. and we need to be warriors for that, for our history. And I think that's part of what the Battle of Blair Mountain, for Blair Mountain, is all about.
Right. Yeah. Well, I've been wanting to come up there for quite some time, so you just sold me on Labor Day weekend, and
there you go.
That would be wonderful. I think that's
all right.
Take the kids up there and let them learn a little bit.
Yeah, we've done a couple live broadcasts on location before, so that sounds like a that sounds like a fun time. So we may just do that. You may be eating your words here in a few months when you see us and you're like, damn, I was just trying to be nice, but these guys actually took me up on it. So
that's all right. I'll take you to Tudor's Biscuit World.
There you go. Well, I'll be looking forward to it, Dr. Keeney. Thank you so much for talking to us. You have been listening to the Valley Labor Report. Make sure you get Dr. Keeney's book, The Road to Blair Mountain. Buy our hat on the valleylaborreport.org, and we will see you next week. The North Alabama DSA holds a necessities drive every Saturday, and that means this Saturday from 3 to 5 p.m. at the IBEW Local 558 Union Hall on Clinton Avenue, right across from Yellowhammer and Campus 805 in Huntsville. So if you're in the area, you want to drop off some clothes, some non-perishable food items, blankets, PPE, whatever, then swing by the IBEW Union Hall, right across from Yellowhammer Brewing and Campus 805 on Clinton Avenue from 3 to 5 p.m. this Saturday and every Saturday. All donations are forwarded to the Manna House. Follow at DSA North Alabama on Twitter for more information. If you want to see what we're up to throughout the week, get our snide quips about the news of the day, then you should follow us on social media. We're on Twitter at Labor Reporters. I'm on Twitter at JacobM_AL. David is on Twitter at Radical Unionist. That's spelled RADICL Unionist. If you missed part of the show and want to go back and watch it later, you can search YouTube for The Valley Labor Report and subscribe to our channel. You can go back and watch the full show there, and we also clip segments that you can watch throughout the week. If you don't want to watch the whole show, just one thing maybe piques your interest, you can go watch it there. We upload the program on more than 11 different podcasting apps. So to see if we are on your listening platform of choice, go to thevalleylaborreport.transistor.fm/subscribe. We've got a website, thevalleylaborreport.org. You can find our work, and you can get yourself one of these nice union-made hats with a nice union bug right here beside our logo. I love it. It's really, it's a really good hat, just aside from it having our logo on it. It's really nice. I like it. And finally, if you appreciate our work and want to help us stay on the air, then consider throwing us a couple dollars a month on patreon.com/The Valley Labor Report.